Hello, lovely listeners, and welcome to Community First, where we have legal and social conversations with the community. I am Bessie Crentil, your host for today. Today's episode is a special one. It is dedicated to students as well as young budding lawyers who are seeking to apply for internships, pupillage, as well as other employment positions in various firms and organizations. Our guest speaker for today will walk us through a few tips to assist us to navigate the application process. That is from drafting your CV, cover letters, to preparing for interviews. So our guest is Mrs. Michelle Essuman. Michelle is a senior legal associate here at B&P Associates. She's a homegrown talented lawyer with invaluable expertise in corporate restructuring, equity financing, and taxation. She undertook her mandatory pupillage here at B&P and rose through the ranks to become a senior legal associate. Michelle heads the recruitment team here at B&P Associates. Her duties as the team lead include reviewing CVs and cover letters of applicants who wish to work here at the firm and conducting interviews. Earlier this year, she represented the firm as a guest speaker at the Maiden edition of the Law Students Internship Clinic, organized by the GIMPA Law Students Union. There, she educated the students on the need for internships and how to take advantage of such opportunities. Michelle is very passionate about mentorship and she welcomes any opportunity to impact the next generation of lawyers. In fact, she did not hesitate when we invited her to be the guest speaker for this episode. Michelle.
Yes, Bessie.
Yeah, welcome to Community First.
Thank you so much.
So in a few words, what do you seek to achieve with this session?
And I think that we're going to speak about the importance of voluntary internships, and then we'll look at how to prepare the necessary documents for an interview session for an internship, pupillage, or associate role. Then I'll give a few tips for an interview session, how to prepare for the application process, and then I'll tell you what to do after you finish your application process.
Nice. I'm sure we'll learn a lot from you to make us better candidates or applicants.
I hope so.
So if you're a law student undertaking your LLB, or you're in law school, or even a young budding lawyer, grab a pen and a notepad because this episode is for you. Okay, so we wouldn't waste much time. Michelle, now talking about internships. Are voluntary internships really important?
Yes, I would say they're very important because they help you to know what career path you want to take. They help you to know what kind of environment you want to work in. They help you to know if you want to specialize, what areas are possible areas for you. So I think it's important to start undertaking internships as early as possible.
Okay, so when you were doing your LLB program, did you at any point undertake an internship?
Yes, I actually interned every single year, every
Wow.
single break I had. So I would say every year, long summer break, I interned, yes. And then right after law school, before I did my entrance exam as well, I interned.
Okay. So how do students actually land? How can they land such internship roles?
Every firm has the way they go about their structures for such applications. So first you have to just check their website, find out how it's done there. But to even know what firm you are looking at and all that, I would say visit career fairs, look at the legal directories for the rankings of firms. Just speak to people generally and find out which firms are good, their experiences that they've had and all that. And that will help you, land a role eventually. Speak to people who can help you as well.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so what are some of the factors generally we should consider before applying for a career role in the legal profession? I'm talking internships, pupillage, associate role, generally, yeah.
Okay, so first of all, you have to assess yourself. Look at your long-term plan, your long-term goal. So long-term, maybe I want to be on the bench. Long-term, I want to be a consultant. Long-term, I want to work with a law firm or set up my own law firm, and that would inform you on how you select your firm that you intern with. So if you want to be at the bench, maybe you should be looking at even interning with some judges. Those are the factors you have to consider. If you don't even know where you want to be, or you don't have a long-term plan, you can look at what I did. For me, I interned at different places, to get a varied experience. And that helped me because by the time I was done with law school, I knew what I wanted and where I wanted to be. So those are some of the factors that you have to consider.
Okay. Some people actually think that some firms are a no-go area for them, looking at their GPAs, etc. What do you say about that?
I've said this before and I'll say it again, that go for gold. Okay. Sometimes we assume less of ourselves and look down on ourselves. But what's the worst that could happen? If you apply for an internship role and you don't get in, it doesn't go into your CV. It's not marked on your forehead, as Ghanaians would say. So I would say that apply. Go ahead and apply to the best firms. You never know what door might open up for you. You never know what they might consider. You never know if maybe others haven't applied. They might give you an opportunity. So go ahead and apply.
Okay. So Michelle, apart from assessing yourself and going for gold, don't factors such as salaries, benefits, work culture also play a key role in applying for a career role?
Yes, definitely. So I'll say that before you apply to any firm, speak to someone there. Definitely speak to someone there. Find out the work culture. Whether or not work will be allocated to you. Some people intern and they just do photocopies for the whole time they're there. So, but some firms actually give you the work, which allows you to learn. They give you that exposure. So that's important. You also have to speak. Money is important to everyone.
Of course.
So depending on your role you're applying for, you find out, what benefits or package is available for you, what their fee structure is, whether it's eat what you kill or a hybrid system, or a salaried system. You have to find out all this before you apply to a place, otherwise you'll be found wanting. You might get this or lose that, so it's a balancing act. You have to make sure you do all that research before.
Okay, so it's a balancing act, you said. Okay,
yes.
So now let's talk about the documents that must be submitted as part of the application process. I know you'll be reviewing these documents as part of your duties. So tell us what you recruiters usually require of a CV.
Okay. So generally a CV would have certain features. It's going to have your full name, your contact details, educational background with the years that you've attended the school, whatever school it is, your work experience with the years that you were there, and then your key achievements and skills. Usually what I do is that if I have to send out a CV, I recommend that you indicate that referees can be provided upon request. That way, if they give you a follow-up or a callback for your referees, you know that you are actually being considered for the role. And by way of tips on that, in your work experience, it's important to state your responsibilities and roles in a way that you can speak to it. I've sat in interviews where people don't even know that, oh, I wrote this in my CV as my role. So when we ask them, speak to it, what did you do? What was the transaction about? Then you find out that they are light in terms of the work that they did, or they did not actually do the work. You also have to package. So even your phrasing, how you go about it, the grammar, the punctuation, everything counts. Your CV should introduce you. So package your duties, package how you present it, but don't over package. Don't lie. some people can lie. They can lie. As a pupil, as an intern, some people can say that they've done things that even a managing partner has not done. So all these things are important. Don't lie in your CV, but package or present yourself well. Your CV has to introduce you. Before you even meet someone and you look at their documents, how their papers are put together, how everything is on point, you can fall in love with, not fall in love, but like or take a liking to the person, and you form an impression of who the person really is. Whether the person is a liar, as I said, whether the person is honest, whether the person has a lot of experience, it introduces you. So a lot of effort has to go into your CV and how you put it together. So for our firm, we don't just look at your CV. You have your application letter, your cover letter, and your accompanying documents. That's the transcripts and all that. So all those are important in your application process. Make sure there's consistency in all your documents. Nothing missing, nothing lost. That's all.
Okay. I think the don't lie point brings me to my next question. How crucial is honesty in such applications, as well as time or the timing of the application? Have there been any instances where honesty and time have affected your selection process?
Yes, definitely. So in terms of honesty, you'll not believe it, but some people have applied with documents and then you see the transcript and it's not even signed. It looks like they typed it in their house and sent it to you. So there can be issues with the documents, and it casts you in some light, as to whether you are really an honest individual person. Everybody wants to work with someone that they know has integrity. So all these things are important. For instance, if you go and lie in your CV that you've published a certain document and it's not published yet, that raises some questions about your integrity and your honesty. So if you haven't done it, don't say you've done it. Don't add documents that are forged. Don't add documents that are incomplete, because they all paint a picture of who you are. Now, in terms of applying early, for us, we have a fixed number of slots, and it's done on a first come, first served basis. So if people, let's say you are good, but you're not that good, and you apply, and we're saying we're benchmarking you to 4 other people who applied early and are also good and are not that good, they have an upper hand because they came earlier. So timing is everything. Look at the schedules of our slots for internships, or find out, speak to us. You can give us a call, and then you apply early and follow up.
Okay, so now you've put in an application and then you are invited for an interview. What are some of the things you should do to prepare yourself for the big day?
Okay. Preparation. I would say that do mock interviews. You can gather your parents, your family members, whoever will listen to you. Wear your suit, take your certificates, sit in front of them and let them ask you questions. Pretend you are actually, before whoever is going to interview you, and address the questions. Sometimes your body language, your use of words, all those things are important, which you may not realize if you just run or have a discussion with someone. Okay, I'm going to raise this, or I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that. You may, once till you are put on that seat, you may not notice that there are issues with the way I throw my hand or the way I twitch. It makes me look like I'm not believable, So it's important to run a mock interview. We also do an assessment, and it's just to see that you can write English. It's just to see that you can write English, and then you're able to put your thoughts on paper in a coherent manner. But that's not to say that come and lie in your assessment or say cases that are non-existent. You have to say, you have to prepare, because once you've done the course, it's presumed you have some knowledge in it. And so whatever you put on paper should make sense. Yeah, so.
Okay. So I was going to ask about during the interview what you look at or what you pay attention to, but I think the body language, the honesty are all tips.
Yes.
Okay. Or are there any other things that you want to talk about?
Yes, please. When following the interview, usually the person interviewing you will ask you, do you have any questions for us? Please don't ask irrelevant questions. This is your opportunity. If you were failing during the interview, let's say you were asked questions you were not comfortable with, this is your chance to redeem yourself with some thought-provoking questions. So please grab the opportunity. Ask questions that are very, very, or leave a lasting impression on the interviewer.
Michelle, please, a thought-provoking question would be, I'm interested.
Okay, so usually what we find people asking is, what do you seek for this role that I'm applying for? But I think that the one that had me was someone that we interviewed, and I think she asked us that we should convince her of why she would be a good fit, or she should work with us as a firm.
Hey, you said we should package, so
yes. And I was actually, impressed that she asked such a question, because now it's like she flipped the interview. Yeah. So it was an interesting one, and I mean, as I'm saying it now, it means that it made a lasting impression, and that's what you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I've taken a few lessons myself. Okay, so now the interview is over and you're at home. I mean, is there anything that an applicant should do after the interview session?
Yes, you can follow up.
Okay.
After a while, or once you go, you send an email. Just say, "Oh, it was lovely meeting you." Just something small, and then a personalized message that kind of reminds the person that you were here. But if you want to follow up, please do so during working hours, appropriate hours. Don't send messages at dawn or midnight looking for a response. Even how you couch your follow up, it's not the sense of entitlement and all that. Just send a nice message, say, hey, just following up on my application process. And if it's falling through the cracks, I'm sure someone would give you a response.
Okay, so what if you are offered an opportunity but you are considering another offer? How do you communicate with both firms or companies?
We find some people telling us that, oh, I'm considering another firm, so please hold on. I don't think that that's quite a good impression to create. If you want a place, you should make them feel like they are your first option.
Okay.
So if there's even any reason why you may be considering another firm or something else, just communicate that, oh, I'm considering the option, and is it okay if I respond on this date or that date? That buys you time. But don't say that, oh, I'm looking at this firm rather, so if I get a response from this firm, then I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you decide, should you inform them or you should just ghost them?
Oh, please inform them. Please inform them, because you never know, you might come back to that firm. So if I applied for internship here and I ghost B&P, my documents are in the system. We keep a profile of everybody that applies here and how the interview process went and how the person, behaved. So years down the line, if you want a legal associate role and you apply, we'll pull up your documents and how you reacted. So it all is important to just leave a message that, oh, I considered your offer, but no, thank you.
Okay. So if you decide to accept an offer to work with a particular firm or organization, are there any tips you want to give to the successful applicants as to how to conduct their affairs or manage the role? Any last words?
Okay, so for an internship role, consider it as a long-term application process, because an internship and pupillage role, consider it as a long-term application process, because you might come back there looking for a job, and how you conducted yourself during your internship and during your pupillage is what they'll fall back on. Because at that stage, they're not now going to look at your CV, because they have more than your CV. They know who you are and how you worked. So just give it your best. Whatever time you are there, give it your best. Another thing is that sometimes you never know where your CV may end up and who may be asked to speak for you. Yes. If even you are not applying to B&P, you may apply to another firm. And you never know, because we speak, it's a small fraternity. So someone may ask, oh, I see on this person's CV that they worked with you. How were they? You know, what was their work ethic like? So just conduct yourself in the best way possible, even in an employment role.
So, Michelle, having given us all these tips, as a recruiter, what are some of the questions you ask yourself when considering an applicant?
Okay, so 3 main things I ask myself. Does the person have the right attitude towards work? Are they always seeking to learn? Because you don't want someone that, you know, is already set in their ways. It makes it difficult to work with them. Would it be easy to work with this person? Looking at our firm culture and how we communicate, how we do things, that's another thing you have to consider, or I consider. Does this person have some potential? Do you have the bare minimum, the basic understanding of the law? That's all that's needed. And I'd like to say that you need to remember that from the beginning of the application process, right until the offer is made, everything counts. You know, from sending your documents to the interview, to the assessment, to your engagement after, until the final offer is made and accepted. Present yourself well, balance it well, so that on one side you don't fail and lose the opportunity or the slot.
No. Thank you so much, Michelle. This has been a very educative session, and I'm sure our listeners have learned so much and I've penned down so many tips.
Thank you, Bessie.
So in a few words, I would like you to summarize your key takeaway points. I mean, for me, what I really took away was package, but don't say about package.
Yes. Okay, so I'll say that apply early. 1, prepare for the interview, give it your best, manage your communication and your behavior after. So those are my 4 key takeaways.
Thank you, Michelle, once again.
Oh, and package.
We should package. We will package. Thank you again, Michelle, for coming. This has been so good. I really enjoyed the session.
Thank you.
Thank you to our listeners also for tuning in. This has been BPA's Community Fest, where we have legal and social conversations with the community. Bye.
Bye-bye.